like, oh, who would you have to replace Lincoln? I mean, oh yeah, you have Hughes, you have Rhysop and Cruz, but Juan Cruz and Chris Rhysop, they have had good spurts so far, but they've also had really bad spurts. So I wouldn't feel comfortable, moving them up on the totem pole in the bullpen to have more responsibility on them. I think you have great with Lincoln, maybe pitching the 7th, and then Grilly the 8th, and Hanrahan the 9th. That's a great 1-2-3 way to end the game. Because it's a given. Because they've been so stellar so far this year. So, personally, I think the Pirates should make a move to increase their offense, because with the way their offense is sitting now, if they added another bat, it would just be an exploding offense, which Pittsburgh hasn't seen in a long time. And they should obviously don't trade any pitchers away, because their pitching has been the key to this season. Starting rotation, the bullpen have been lights out. They can't change that at all. But now we're going to go to a different topic, stay within the Pirates, and that will be the number 8 pick in this year's first-year player draft in the first round by the Pirates in Mark Appel. He has until 5 o'clock today to sign a deal to be with the Pirates. Now, his agent is Scott Boras. And, of course, he is, I guess you could say, a difficult agent to negotiate with. He represents Pedro Alvarez. Appel was drafted out of high school before, and he decided not to sign. I think he would be stupid not to sign with the Pirates, because he still has another year left at Stanford, but the next year's draft, the talent is deeper, and he's probably going to slip even back further, and he would make less money. So I think it is imperative that he does sign this. Now, the Pirates, they still have other players that they have not signed yet. Their 4th-round pick, Brandon Thomas, the outfielder from Georgia Tech, and the 8th-rounder, 3rd baseman out of high school, Kevin Ross. So far, the Pirates have spent a combined $2.5 million on bonuses for the other 8 players that have been selected in the top 10 rounds. So they have saved a little bit of more money that they could give to Appel. Now, Appel was regarded as probably the best pitcher in the draft, and he was thought to be the number 1 pick. But teams shied away because they didn't know, the signability issues. Appel has to sign now, because it's the best way to get your pro career started, and heck, he might even be here in 2 years with Garrett Cole and possibly Jameson Taillon in the starting rotation, and then if you still got James McDonald, and if A.J. Burnett is still pitching the way he is right now in the next couple years, going close to 40 years old, that's quite a rotation. He has to sign, and the Pirates have to get a deal done. Scott Boras, he needs to tell Appel that the smart move is to sign and just get this thing over with, because if he doesn't sign, waits till next year to get drafted, he's going to make less money, and it's just going to be a lose-lose situation for him. And now I think it'd be good to transition now over to some Penguin talk. The Penguins missed out on the Zach Parise and Ryan Suter signings. They opted to sign with Minnesota, and automatically, I think, turn them into a contender in the Western Conference. I think it's past the point where Ray Shero and all the other Penguins executives can try and tempt a quality free agent to come here and say, oh, you can play with Sidney Crosby, you can have Sidney Crosby on your line. There are other teams out there that if those players went to, they would make them cup contenders. Because the Penguins, they won the cup back in 2009. The Blackhawks, the Bruins, and the Los Angeles Kings have all won the cup since then. So other teams can win the cup. I don't think the Penguins can use that as a selling point anymore. Now, I know Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby are arguably the top 2 players in the NHL today. You can throw Ovechkin's name in there, of course, and if you want Steven Stamkos and Patrick Kane. I think what the Penguins have to do is they're not going to get the top free agents every year. And I think there are still quality free agents out there that the Penguins could get to boost their top two lines. Because all the fans have been wondering who will be the next great scoring winger for the Penguins. Who can you put on Sidney Crosby's line? The player out there that seemed to be in discussion with the Penguins is Shane Doan. Shane Doan is in his late 30s. He's been a veteran. He's been with the Phoenix Coyotes his whole career. There are some concerns as to whether he can skate, keep up with Sidney Crosby. I think Shane Doan would be a great addition to this team. Got to remember back when they signed Bill Guerin, or when they traded for Bill Guerin, he was a little bit older than Shane Doan, and he was a great scoring winger that the Penguins had. He helped them win the Cup that year. So I think Shane Doan could be kind of like the same equivalents. There are other people out there also that think that the Penguins, they might not need to sign a free agent and give some of the younger guys a chance to kind of fulfill their potential. A lot of people were saying that Eric Tangradi would be the guy, the winger, that they could have. He's kind of big enough to replace Ryan Malone, who they used to have, but he has a chance to be a better goal scorer. Now, he is only 23 years old. They got him in the trade with Anaheim. They got Chris Kunitz as well. He is the second-round pick from 2007 for the Ducks. He has only played in 24 games since the Penguins acquired him in 2009, and he only has 2 assists. He has not scored a goal in the 24 games with the Penguins. So that is a reason why many fans have become impatient with him, and they don't think that he's going to be a good scoring winger. I don't think he's had the chance yet. They haven't played him enough on the top lines to know what he can do. I have a feeling he can produce if he's given the chance. If they let him play more this upcoming year, I'm not going to say he's going to score 30 goals right off the bat. I think he has a chance to be a 20-goal scorer. They already have a great scoring winger on the second line with James Neal, with Neil Malkin. Pascal Dubuis was great last year. I don't know if he can keep that up again this year. So I think if you put Tangradi up there with Crosby, they might work pretty well together. And there's also some concerns with the defense. They traded away Zbynek McCulloch back to the Coyotes because they figured they could get Ryan Suter. That didn't happen. Many people were saying, Paul Martin's definitely going to be dealt. Well, Ray Shero thinks that Paul Martin he had a bad year last year, but it was rare for him to have that type of year. They think he's going to come back, he's going to play lights out like he did when the Penguins first signed him 2 years ago. So you have Paul Martin, you have Chris Letang, Brooks Orpik, Derek England, and then if you throw in Lovejoy in there and Matt Niskanen, there's the top 6. And of course, Lovejoy might get interspersed a little bit with the likes of Simone Dupre, maybe Robert Bortuzzo, Brian Straight, and even if Joe Morrow, who looked spectacular last year in the preseason in Penguins training camp, he might come up and do something. I don't know if they're going to, because I don't think there's any good defensemen out there that you can sign. So I think it's going to be in the young guys' hands to come up and kind of bring something to the table. So the Penguins, I think a decision might be made soon on if they're going to try and get Shane Doan within the next week or so. So by the next show, maybe Shane Doan will be a Penguin, maybe he won't. And the final topic that I'd like to discuss today will be just the Steelers. I'm just going to touch on this a little bit. Mike Wallace. It's really interesting because he thought that he would get a big contract from another team because he wanted to opt his options to see if anyone out there would give him more money. No team wanted to give him money. I have a feeling he thinks that he is worth like a $9 to $10 million a year type of receiver. I don't think he is there quite yet. He's definitely an explosive receiver. He's definitely the Steelers' number 1 receiver, but he's not the type of guy yet. If he just signs the tender which is a 1 year, $2.4 million contract. He can play out this year, play for a contract next year. Maybe if they want to give him like $7 or $8 million a year, lock him up for 3 or 4 years. That's what he should do. Training camp's only a few weeks away. If he does not sign by then and he sits out like the first couple weeks of camp, it's going to hurt him. I think it's going to hurt the chemistry on the field with the new playbook that Todd Haley is bringing in with the offense. So I think he has to sign. I hope he signs, because I think he is one of the best young receivers in the game today. So hopefully everyone out there liked my first episode. I know, kind of rough around the edges. First time I'm doing this type of thing. So I'm going to end the show with that, and hopefully by the time we talk next week, the Pirates are still on a roll, holding up first place. Penguins, let's see if they sign any free agents, and hopefully by some miracle Mike Wallace ends up signing that contract so that he can finally get out there and practice with the team. So that's it. I'll be signing off. Michael Kravetz, and you just listened to the Sports Wrap.